Hi everybody, welcome to Caketastic Cakes. It's Jen and I'm going to show you today how to make a nice rich ganache filling designed for filling a cake or for icing a cake, not for a drizzle. Okay, so let's go. Alright, you're going to start with your chocolate. You want to get actual baker's chocolate. You do not want candy maker's chocolate, okay? And you also want something that's going to be pretty darn rich as far as the cacao percentage. So the one I'm using is, I think, 60% it said on the label. So you want something that's pretty high percentage. You could go full on, just dark, straight up, unsweetened chocolate. It's going to make it taste a lot richer. So whatever you choose, make sure it's pretty high, but within your comfort level. So chop it all up, chop, 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 just like I'm doing, nice and small, because honestly, the smaller and finer you chop it all up, the more evenly it's all chopped up, the better it will melt, and the more evenly it will melt. And when I first started doing this, I used to be like, oh, I'll just chop it up. And I was like, choppity chop, and throw it into a bowl. And it was big chunks in it. And my ganache would be chunky sometimes. So yeah, the better, the finer, the nicer it will all melt and kind of work all together. Now, when you're making a ganache for a filling or for icing a cake, you want to do a 1-to-1 ratio as far as cream to chocolate. And you can use different ratios as well, and that will give you different results. Like if you are going for a ganache drizzle, you're going to use more cream than you would to the chocolate. So now that you're watching me in this fascinating footage right here, just me cutting up chocolate, it reminds me so much of Cooking Mama, the old video game that my sons used to have on their DSi. Just a chop, chop, chop. It takes a lot longer than that. It's not that easy, but it's not hard either. Anyway. All right, get into my cream. Now, like I said before, you want to do a 1-to-1 ratio. So you pour your cream into your pot, put your pot onto your stove, and you're going to heat it up. Put it on a nice flame, nice medium flame, I think, and wait for it to scald. So you're going to see little bubbles, as you can see, forming around the edges here, but all of a sudden, it's just going to kind of like erupt. There it goes, just like that. You see how the little foam kind of takes over the top? That's when you know you're done. Take it off the heat. Very carefully, come over, pour it into your chopped up chocolate. Now with this kind of a 1-to-1 ratio, you're going to see, you're going to be basically making chocolate soup. You're going to fill it up. I drizzle it around just carefully so I don't break my bowl. And I'm going to now let it sit for 5 minutes. Don't stir it yet. I mean, I don't know if you can. I don't know. It's just what I do. Let it sit for 5 minutes, kind of let it work into the chocolate. Then come back and start stirring. I'm using a rubber spatula and I'm just stirring and stirring and stirring, and I'm trying not to go too crazy. When you do stir ganache, especially if you're going to use it for a glaze or for a drizzle, stir it gently so you don't create too many air bubbles. The air bubbles love to be held onto in ganache, and you want it nice and smooth as possible. For this, again, because it's the filling, I guess not such a big deal. If you're going for the icing on the outside, though, then again, you probably want to pay attention to it. Stir it gently. Try not to get too many air bubbles in it if you can help it. And as you see, I've been stirring. I stirred for several minutes. So, I just fast forward and edit it and cut it and stuff just to get to the good part. But you could see how that chocolate shine just kind of came through all the cream. And there you go. Once it's all incorporated, it seems nice and smooth. Just leave it on your counter. Some people are tempted to put it in the fridge. Don't do it. Let it sit and come to temperature on the counter. It's going to take a few hours, but once it does, you're going to see it starts to really thicken up. And it's going to become smooth, and as you can see here, creamy, but it holds its shape. This is when you're ready to start filling your cake. And if you let it sit even longer, which I did with a different batch, a different time, you're going to find that it's going to get really thick. It just keeps getting thicker and thicker. It will kind of peak, but it will keep getting thicker. If you find it gets too thick and too stiff, if you use a little hand mixer, whip it up, you'll get it back to a nice consistency. It will change the color. It will make it kind of a lighter brown. So just kind of be ready. If your cakes are ready and cooled, make your ganache, and then go ahead and fill it when it's just peak perfectness. Like, look at that nice shine. It just looks so good. And I used it with a chocolate cake. I put some fresh strawberry slices on top because why not? You got to cut all that richness with some sweetness, right? And then I just stuck it in the fridge. Once I had it all layered up, I went ahead and wrapped it up in plastic wrap and then put it in the fridge because I did want the ganache to set. It is kind of not pudding in texture, like that kind of a thing. It's thicker than that, a little stronger than that, but it's not exactly buttercream either. You know, it does have a little squish to it. So here you can see it's a lighter color. This is the other one that I had made earlier that I just kind of wanted to show you. It had set for too long, so I had to whip it up and it got a little bit lighter in color. But it did still taste exactly the same. Now once I had my layers all set, I wrapped my cake in plastic wrap, stuck it in the fridge to make the ganache really firm before I started icing the outside of the cake. I did a buttercream on the outside. This way it's nice and solid and firm and stiff. Otherwise, the ganache is a little soft. It is a little slippery. Just gives you a little extra stability for a super rich, very delicious cake. So I hope you found this little tutorial helpful. Please like and subscribe because it does help me out. Check out my many other videos. I got a lot of other beginner videos out there as well. And as always, thank you for watching Caketastic Cakes.